Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Quiet Terrapin. Yeah, this is Dr. Khalsa out here trimming his lime tree. And people have asked me recently, how do you trim a lime tree? A friend of mine has several of them in his house, and they're doing well, but they could do better. And he's got a lot of cross branches and dead wood. So on my lime tree, I thought I would show you a little bit about how I would prune this back at this time of year. This is heading into the summer. This is a lime tree in that it's citrus, and there's many lime trees here in the orchard. There's another one in back of me. There's a lemon down the road here. They like to have their bark protected. So it's not at all like a tree where you want to open up the canopy so much as you'd want to leave it protected, especially this time of year. Now, after the summer's over, heading into winter, you want to avoid mold and mildew and too many ants, etc. It's great to get in there and prune a little bit then. But this time of year, I want to leave a lot of the foliage on so that we can, leave that protected. It's about to set fruit too. We have lots of buds in here, lots of baby limes coming in. They're definitely nowhere near where I would harvest them. I'm very picky about when I harvest limes. Most people harvest limes pretty early, when they're really green, when they're lime colored, you might say. Limes, I don't think, are truly ripe until they're starting to turn a little yellowish. They have a little yellow tinge to them, and I don't pick them until then. Now, the person that uses them likes them a little on the green side, but I try not to pick them too soon or too late. If you pick them too late, you get too watery and they're too yellow, and that doesn't work out well either. So as you can see, this lime tree has been shaped many times, and I believe that our farm managers come in here and already pruned a lot of this back. But I'm just going to show you some tips on the direction I would go in here. My dog's with me, so I'm going to try to get him to move with me. Come on, little paw. Come with me. There you go. Thank you. Give me a little slack on the leash. So as you can see, this branch is jumping out, wanting to be trimmed every time we mow through here. And I don't want to get my tree too lateral or too horizontal. And it's growing into the path. It's not a good thing for the tree, it's not going to fruit there anyway. It gets too much weight on the end of the branch. We don't want that. We don't want a lot of branches that point down or point up, straight up. We want ones that go off at 45 degrees is an ideal kind of angle for these things. We also don't want branches that crisscross over each other too much. And we don't want any dead wood. So if I come in here and I look horizontally, I see, oh look, there's some dead branches here. I'll just show you what that looks like. Here it is. Yeah, there's a little green on there. It's not dead or anything, but there's definitely no leaves. It's not going to be growing any leaves soon because it's underneath about 5 layers of canopy. So that sort of thing, the dead wood we get rid of here. There's some suckers growing straight up. I call them suckers. If they're too horizontal, they're trying to dominate the area. I don't want that. I also don't want too much congestion down here. I want to get some airflow in the middle of the tree. But I do want to leave the canopy heavy so that it's well protected. See, these branches are sticking up in the middle of nowhere. Well, I'll leave some of them because I want the tree to slowly get slightly bigger over time until it's just a giant lime factory, as it has been for many years, really. But so I want to allow it to get bigger because it's naturally going to get bigger. The trunk's going to get bigger. The roots are going to expand a little bit. It's always hungry for a little more territory. Now there's trees all around here, and you always wonder how far to plant trees away from each other. You pull up a root ball once in a while for some reason, and it's huge. It's this giant lanky thing that doesn't stop for, you think it's the size of the canopy of the tree. No, that's just like the beginning. It goes way beyond that. What's really cool is when it's in a family or a community of trees, like this avocado across the way, another avocado, some cacao over there, some persimmons, another lime tree, tangelo, a fig tree, 2 fig trees, and a grapefruit. They're in a neighborhood. We should all get along as good as the trees do. In fact, turns out they kind of work together. The ones up here on the top ridge are avocados. They don't like as much water. They like a little drier feet. They like to get dried out between waterings. In fact, if you overwater them, they will rot. It's not a good thing. Lemons and limes like a little more water. Cacao likes even more water. So they're all the way downhill. I wish I had thought of that a little more when I planted the trees many, many years ago. Seems like many years ago. It's only 5 or 6 years ago. So here's another branch. Good example. Not going to be going anywhere. It's in the middle of the tree. It's crossing over several others. Cut a few more of these. Now I wish I had a little ladder. I'd cut off the tip top of that. Nobody needs fruit that's 40 feet above their head. I don't know how to say that any better. We grow trees for the fruit. I have other ornamental trees, several. They're beautiful. I have deep appreciation for each and every one of them. Here's a lime, not a bad color. See how it's dark on one side and it's starting to get lighter on this side? That's a pickable lime. I like this one. What else we got in here? I hate to be so human-centric, about what we do here, but the bottom line is this lime tree would not be here if it was not for me working with this. I do my best to do my best here. I don't say I'm like some kind of superstar farmer, but I've lived here for 12 years now, almost 12 years, next month. And gosh, living in Kauai, I have a deep appreciation for the aina, the nature, the way plants grow, and even more so is the energy that plants have. The nature, life force. How about that? Sounds like Christopher Hill. Anybody know who Christopher Hill is? Yeah, I know. I know somebody down the street who does, but I don't know many people who know who Christopher Hill is. There's a lot of stuff in here that needs to be cut off. Once in a while, we'll see something called sooty mold. It's a black, looks like there's mildew on your tree. That's caused from aphids, which are farmed by, that's right, ants. So ants suck. You think they help, and they do on some level, but too many ants destroy your trees. So we collar the trees. Around the base of the tree, we put a layer of tape in backwards, a layer of duct tape backwards, so it's touching itself. Not a whole lot. I don't want to girdle the tree or confine its movement or sap, but I do want to not let colonies of ants go up and down the tree, getting the sap, farming the aphids, making the black sooty mold, because there's nothing good about it. I'm sure it's good in that it will eventually kill the tree and then we'll have more compost. I suppose that's a good outcome, but in my world, that's not a good outcome, It's funny when I talk to people about the nature of things, and they're all against doing anything unnatural. Unnatural. What does that mean? Like what's that? And not in accordance, not in harmony with nature. You mean like the mining that went on to get the tires you drove here on? Maybe we ought to be less judgmental, less self-righteous, and try to understand people more and judge them less. Because when you judge people, you just develop walls around yourself. I've seen it. It's the road to depression, and it's not good. Well, a couple more here. This is the side that faces the sun in the late evening. So I don't want it to get sunburned. But there's a lot of dead wood inside here. It's not to do the tree any good. And when it has leaves, it needs photosynthesis. It ain't happening way deep in the canopy here. I'm going to clear out some of this canopy on the inside. I think we're going to end our video today. But I appreciate you watching it. Hope you learned a little bit about lemons and limes. I guess I'll tell you a little bit about the care of this lime tree. This lime tree is a Tahitian lime. Although we have made key lime pie out of it, and it does taste pretty darn good. Not quite like key lime, but it's close. The Tahitian lime fruits all year round. We have bees just around the corner in the apiary, and they certainly come in here and fertilize, pollinate the tree year round. We do fertilize it quite a bit. We feed this thing. About 3 or 4 times a year we come in with a slow release fruit tree fertilizer. It's all organic. There are some mined minerals. That means they come out of the ground. Some big machine goes and gets them. Potassium, etc. And they're in there, so it's not a true organic in that it's a decomposing matter. But it's a great fertilizer. We use it all the time. We also use gypsum. We use about half a bag of gypsum a year on every tree. I can't say enough about the calcium releasing properties of gypsum. It also reduces some of the salt overload, the sodium. We also give this thing a little bit of, twice a year, we give it some micronutrients. It's a liquid micronutrients we use. It has, a little bit of boron and a little bit of silica and just a whole bunch of micronutrients that they don't want in a lot, but if you don't have them, the tree will get sick and not do well. I think that's part of why we've done so well with these micronutrients. In fact, we're just about to do our second batch of that. We do one at the end of the summer to kind of replenish the situation, and then this time of year. Now, the challenge here is that it rains. You think that'd be a great thing, and it is a great thing. Without the rain we have, we wouldn't have water, and we wouldn't have water. Well, water seems to be pretty important to us, and the dog and the tree, for sure. Everybody in Hawaii, and we're on an island. It isn't like we can go to the 7-Eleven and buy a bunch of water. It isn't like that at all. I don't even know where they get it from, but it ain't here. So having water in the aquifer is real important. We've had a great wet spring this year, but the ground here is super porous. This ground, if in the summer when it's hot, it can get dry in a day or two. And when it's windy and hot, it can get dry like almost overnight. So there are things we have to water every year. We make sure our water system's working. We have 2-inch pipe that goes into this hydrant over here we have. And then from there, there's 1 inch that goes all along here. And out of the 1 inch comes the brown hose emitters. You see them, They have holes about every foot or 18 inches or so. And we have a coil of that around every tree. And we have, what is it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have about 8 trees, 9 trees on each row. And they get watered real well with that system. We often cut and damage our emitters, that little brown hose I talked about. Well, sometimes it's underneath guinea grass or something, and we're cutting it with the weed whacker, and whoop! And then the next time we turn it on, well, there's usually a fountain or a gusher, depending on if it's water that goes up, it's a fountain, down, it's a gusher. And we try to look for those one after we weed whack. It's part of weed whacking. Please check the plumbing afterwards is an important thing because it's easy to damage. But it supplies water to the trees in the summer, and we water them about once a week or maybe once every 5 days when it's really hot and really dry for a while. We do that for just a bunch of reasons. One is it's somewhat of a fire protection. Not much, but it means that the first thing that won't go up is the orchard, and that's a good thing. It also means these trees will live through the summer. Some of these trees really suffer when we don't have any water, when the soil dries out. Overwatering can be a problem too. It dilutes all the food and all the minerals and stuff that we work so hard to get to. Get to the trees. Will just sift through the ground sometimes. So to counteract that, we put a lot of mulch on the ground. I collect a lot of mulch in the mulch pile. We have a lot of wood chippers, friends that bring wood chipped mulch over here, and we use that all the time. Since the coconut rhinoceros beetle, we've tried to minimize our absorption of more of that and tried to keep it somewhat contained, in that we don't want more at this point, because it used to be, it was gold, and it is gold, by the way, but it's also breeding grounds for the coconut rhinoceros beetle. I don't think my little mulch pile has made the world any worse, but we have the CRB everywhere. A lot of trees are damaged here. I'm hoping that the immune system of these trees, or another bacteria or something, or a pest will come in, and this is not worse than the coconut rhinoceros beetle, will come in and save us from that. Well, that's the lime tree, folks. Needs a lot more work. Hopefully we trim that big branch on top there. I don't know if you can see it, but it's sticking up in the air. Nobody needs a lime that's 12 foot in the air. Why? What's the point? I don't want to over trim this. It's hard to hurt these trees this time of year. They're very active. I see some stuff underneath here I don't want to let grow too much. I'm going to pull that once I have gloves on, because without gloves there's little thorns everywhere. You don't want to start yanking stuff out and it getting you instead of you getting it, So from Hari, for now, adios and aloha. I hope you have a grand day, good time, and hope this how to prune a lime tree has been a little helpful for you. Other trees we trim differently, but citrus we leave covered in the summer, even the lower branches. In fact, if this tree didn't have a lot of lower branch cover, I wouldn't hesitate to paint this tree. Now there's special paints you can use, all kinds of very expensive and fancy sort of herbal paints and stuff, but I've seen many people use latex and it seems to work just fine. So, love y'all. Have a great day. Aloha.